guys, it's Tony, and welcome to Mario Month. For the entire month, or for the span of 3 weeks, with 3 freaking episodes, I will be going over the history and my critiques of the Mario series. We're not going to be covering all of the games, we're going to be covering the main series of games, as well as a few non-essentials here and there. But with all that said, let's get into the origin of Mario. The year is 1979, and Nintendo decides to get into the home video game market, especially in America. They start out with, on the wrong foot, Radar Scope. Radar Scope, unfortunately, was a failure, and the crew realized they didn't have enough workers to make a whole new game, so they had to hire an illustrator. The illustrator's name was Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto decided that, he hated tennis games, he hated shooting games, and he hated space games regardless. So he was going to make a game with a story. Yes, this became the first game with a story. That game would become Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong would introduce us to the character we would all know and love as the pesky little plumber, Mario. Mario would eventually get his own game in 1983, where he would star alongside his brother, Luigi. And with the success of that game, Miyamoto began working on another game for their then new up-and-coming console, the Famicom, which would be over here, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Thus, that brings us to Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Is considered a classic by many, and for good reason, too. I mean, essentially, this saved the video game industry in 1985. It also saved Nintendo's butt in 1985, too, because they were losing revenue trying to advertise to the American audience. With all of that said, what are my feelings about the game? It's a good game. I really enjoy it. I love playing it. Is it one of my favorite NES games of all time? No. I'd at least put it in the top 5, but it's not really. It's a good game, regardless. It doesn't have many issues. I know where half the secrets are, thanks to many other people who play the game online. So, to kind of end off that review, yeah, it's fine. Moving onwards. With the success of Super Mario Bros. Selling 40 million cartridges worldwide, being a record for the time, Nintendo decided that they needed to capitalize quickly and make a sequel. Thus, in 1986, they began work on Super Mario Bros. 2. It was released a few months later, and to some fans out there, it was considered harder than the original. And I'm not talking about the US version yet, by the way, this is only the Japanese version. The game was so hard that by the time they sent the game over to the US, the person who was in charge of picking and choosing games, Howard Phillips, he said it was too hard and they needed a new sequel, something that was a lot more appealing for the American audience. What this resulted in was them taking a game that they had worked on in 1987, called Doki Doki Panic, which they had done for Fuji Television, as part of their Summer Dreams event, which happened all summer that year, and they conversed that into Super Mario Bros. 2 that we all know and love. Super Mario Bros. 2 has an interesting story. Mario had a dream. The dream involved him going through a dream world. The next morning he has a picnic with his friends and he discovers the dream world. Deciding that they needed help, he and his friends go through the dream door to the dream world, where they end up having to face off the evil Toad Wart. So, what do I think about Super Mario Bros. 2? If you've watched the Ransom Reviews episode of Mario Rama, then you know, wholeheartedly, this is my favorite Mario game. But, here's something you did not hear yet. Or if you did, well, I'm going to tell you again. This is my favorite game of all time. Yes. I love the designs, I love the music, I love the gameplay, I love everything about it. As for everyone else, they had mixed reception. Eventually, a couple years after the game was released, they discovered that this wasn't the real Mario 2, according to them. So, with that being discovered, they realized that, well, fuck, it wasn't going to count as a real Mario game. And it has now been almost 30 years later, and come on guys, let's get over it. It's Mario 2. Following the success of Mario 2, Nintendo immediately began working on Mario 3. And Mario 3 had a kind of interesting publicity stunt. In 1989, Universal released the movie The Wizard, starring Fred Savage. The movie was a mediocre hit, becoming a cult classic. But throughout the movie, they were talking about this video game tournament. And at the end, when they get to the video game tournament and they get to the final round, what shall be announced upon them? Super Mario Bros. 3. My feelings on Super Mario Bros. 3 are kind of mixed. I enjoy the game, but I do feel it's a little overrated. Now hear me out. Hear me out on this one. It's overrated because I don't think it deserved as much respect as Mario 2 did. Mario 2 was made on a very short deadline. You gotta realize that. Mario 3 began production in 1988. And it was released in 1990. So yeah, that had a 2-year span. This Mario 2 had 1 year. 1 year to get done and ready. And I guess you could say the same thing about the original Mario 2. So yeah, with the tighter schedule, yeah, they've turned out somewhat of the better product. This, it's not bad, it's not one of my favorites. I'd put it in the top 10 at least. Following the success of Mario 3, that wrapped up the original NES Mario trilogy, because the NES sadly ceased production in 1994. In 1991, though, Nintendo released the Super Nintendo, and with that came the launch game of Super Mario World. And I know what you're saying, Tony, why are you not showing me the cartridge? Well, I don't have the cartridge. I got the Virtual Console copy of it. And I'm not going to play the Virtual Console copy of it behind my back, because I don't want to get in trouble by Nintendo. So you're not going to see it. Ha. What can I say about the game, though? I enjoy it. I think it's a really good game. I think it's not one of my favorites on the SNES. It is, though, one of the best. Introduced us to Yoshi, and I know my friend Nathan would really enjoy that. It kind of revolutionized what Mario 3 had done before. New power-ups, different world maps. That's all fine and good. So let's kind of get through all that. Mario World was a success. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, which was kind of a prequel to the original Mario games. That was a success too. And my feelings on that game is, it's okay. It's not one of my favorites, it's just okay. Now, let's jump ahead another console generation to 1996 when Nintendo released the N64 with the launch title Super Mario 64. This game basically was my childhood. I remember playing this game all the time. I played it after school, I played it during the weekends, I played it during break. It was a fun game. Between this and Ocarina of Time, those were the two games I played a lot when I was a kid. In fact, I would say it was this game in general that got me introduced to Nintendo and got me hooked. So, what are my thoughts on it? Has it aged well? Well, kind of. To be honest, it does feel the essence of 90s video games, but then again, that was the time, and that was kind of what they only had. The style. The way I put it is, it's a time capsule of 96. Kind of how Final Fantasy VII is a time capsule of 1997. This is a time capsule of 1996. The CGI with the character designs and stuff, it's not bad. It's actually really good. And that's kind of interesting because the N64 became like the second best-selling console that generation, beneath the PlayStation. But the goal for the N64 was to have better pixel quality and not faster speed. Well, actually, no. It was the other way around. I'm sorry. My mind's kind of warped a little there. Faster speed, but not as great pixel quality. So some people did criticize it. Now, thus ends part 1 of Mario Month. And yes, for all the stuttering and all the mistakes I've made, I am truly sorry. You gotta remember, stress. Join us next week when we'll be talking about Mario in the 2000s and the 2010s. So basically, we're going to be covering what was essentially the peaks and valleys of Mario. This is Tony saying, I will see you next time. Let's go. Hey guys, this is Tony, and welcome back to Mario Month. When we last left off, Mario 64 was debuting in '96, and the N64 ended up placing in second during the generation race. As we entered the new millennium, lots of things started to happen. PlayStation released the PS2, and Microsoft introduced the Xbox. With Nintendo, however, there were a lot more complicated things going on. They were planning to release an add-on for the N64 called the Disk Drive, but unfortunately it failed. So instead they decided to opt into their new console, which was coming out in 2001, codenamed the Dolphin, which became the Nintendo GameCube. With this said, there were speculations at the time of whether or not there was going to be a Mario 64 2. And while there was one planned for the N64 DD, it never came to fruition. And at Space World 2000, we ended up getting a demo called Mario 128. It wouldn't be until 2002 when we finally get our new Mario game, Super Mario Sunshine. In some people's opinion, this is considered the black sheep of the entire series. But in my opinion, it is, besides Wind Waker, one of my favorite GameCube games of all time. It is colorful, it is fun, it is enjoyably just watery. It just screams out beach. And with that said, the game was kind of a success, but at the same time kind of a failure. But you couldn't really blame Nintendo for that one. That's more or less the problem with the GameCube and just people questioning whether or not they wanted to buy it. We wouldn't see another new Mario game until 2006 with New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. New Super Mario Bros. Was just a retelling of the original Mario Brothers with new graphics and new power-ups. And this spawned off an entire series of games. New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, New Super Mario Luigi U, New Super Luigi U, guys, you get it. In celebration of your Luigi. So we wouldn't see kind of a new innovation for a Mario game, which, again, hasn't been done since Sunshine, until 2007, when Mario Galaxy was released. And this game is my favorite game for the Wii. It is my favorite game of all time. If I had a top 3, Mario Galaxy, Twilight Princess, Punch-Out. There you go. There's my top 3. But Galaxy is just so innovative in just how they figured out the mechanics of just exploring a planet and exploring a galaxy. This game was so big that it got a sequel a year later, which some people just said was kind of an expansion pack, and I would have to agree with that, but at the same time, I do admire it for being kind of new. And when I mean kind of, I mean sort of, with new places to go to. I have that one on the Virtual Console for my Wii U, so I play it all the time. We wouldn't see another innovative Mario game until 2013, with Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario 3D World is, I'm not going to say my favorite game for the Wii U, but it is in my top 5. What I do enjoy about this game is, again, it's kind of the innovations. Double Mario power-ups, cat suits. Some people have criticized that it just felt like another Mario game, but it kind of did something different. I'll give it that. It wasn't like the new Super Mario Bros. Series. I'm going to be honest, I kind of hate that series. I don't think it's really well innovative. I just think it's retreading old stuff over and over again. This is stuff that I would actually appreciate and would love to buy. Super Mario 3D World was a success and is in some ways one of the top 5 best-selling Wii U games as of this date. Now, for one of the best-selling Wii U games, we jump 2 years later to one of the best games that has come out in the last couple months, Super Mario Maker. This game has people shitting their pants with excitement. They can build whatever they want in Mario. And while there has been criticism over, well, it doesn't have this, but it doesn't have that, it still has everything you would want for a Mario game. And the updates that keep coming, they keep coming strong. I don't have the game, I'm going to be honest, but this is the game I really want to get for the Wii U. I keep advocating to you guys to please be generous enough to find an additional copy, to buy an additional copy if you have to. just to send it out to me, because I would love to play this. I want to be a part of this. This is what I want. This is probably one of the reasons I bought the Wii U to begin with. Between this, Smash, and Mario Kart 8. This is the reason that anyone might have a chance to actually, like, want to live through, like, any of this. My point is, this game is just so great, because it kind of gets it. It gets that people just want to create stuff, and it does it well. I've seen so many of people's levels that it boggles my mind just how creative they've gotten. Mario Maker, hands down, is probably one of my favorite games for the Wii U. And I don't even have the game yet. But through friends, they've told me that this game is really good. So, I don't know what to say to that, but yeah, this game is really great. And there has been speculation, I guess, over whether or not they're going to then make a Zelda Maker. Which, if they do that, that'll be kind of fine. I mean, I would enjoy it, and I would probably buy it, but I think it just wouldn't work for some reason. There's a couple reasons it may not work, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll probably get into that in a later video. My point is, Mario Maker is one of those games I definitely want to get, and I keep advocating you people to try to go out and look for additional copies, because I would love to get my hands on it to play it. I've been working my ass off to try to get this game, and believe it or not, I'm always that close to getting it. So freaking close. This is why fan funding was put up, folks, for this game in particular. This is why it was out. For this, the Famicom, all the Famicom games that I would need. These are the reasons why I put up fan funding. Sorry for going on that little tyrant, but you get my point. This game is just so much fun. It makes me want to keep playing. It makes me want to keep playing my Wii U. I have not played my Wii U in like 2 months. That's because I've just been so busy making videos. But, with all of that said, I will see you guys next time as we finally get into the last part of Super Mario Month. Or Mario Month. Yada yada yada. I'm still getting over this. Kind of my anger and love and hate and betrayal. You get my point. Where we'll finally talk about the handheld Mario games. And we'll get into the variant Mario games. Not the ROM hacks. We're getting into basically the party games and the card games. I will see you guys next week. This is Tony saying, take care, and people, please, I would love to get Mario Maker. Hey guys, this is Tony and welcome back to Mario Month. We are in the final episode, which means we're going to be talking about all the miscellaneous games, along with the Game Boy games. So, as we all know, the Game Boy came out in 1989, and with that came one of the launch titles, Super Mario Land. This game is about Mario getting called upon to save another princess, not Peach by the way, this is Daisy, Luigi's girl, in Sarasaland from the evil alien Tatanga. And this game, for 1989 standards, is really good. Especially for a Game Boy game of Mario. And of course, as we all know, as the games would go on, they would get much better, but for this being one of the earliest, it's really good. It kind of reminds me of the 8-bit Mario games. Nothing I can really say about that. I just really enjoy this game. So yeah, this is a definite watch. So with the success of Mario Land, there came Mario Land 2, the 6 Golden Coins. My opinion on that game is, well, as you see I don't have it, it's kind of a little overrated, but it's still fun to play. I don't have any problem with it. Plus it was the introduction of Wario. I mean, come on. But, following that, they decided to switch the format from Mario to Wario with Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. This game is actually one of the earliest memories I had of playing Game Boy games, and it was one of my favorites along with Kirby Dream Land. This game is still very fun to play today, and you know, despite how hard it is and despite the ending, which can go from being a complete disappointment to a complete joy, it's still really fun to pick up, and I do recommend, again, you pick up this trilogy. Now, there was one more, but it was only released in Japan, Super Mario Land 4. And I played it. It sucks. Yeah, surprisingly, that's the one that sucks. And it sucks because it's vastly different from the first three games. It's just, they did so many things different in that game, but besides the point. Wario eventually got his own game series on the Game Boy following Mario Land, and that spawned off like 3 more games. Those were all successes. Something I forgot to mention in the Mario Part 1 and Part 2 of this month was Paper Mario. And me having played Paper Mario, and heck, I just got through playing Super Paper Mario, these are very fun games to play. And what makes them fun is the fact that they basically try to go off the beaten path of what regular Mario games do. And that's the fun of the game, is going off the beaten path and finding stuff that you weren't expecting to find. So these games are really good, and I cannot wait actually for the new one to come out, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is going to be a crossover between this and the Mario and Luigi series. Which, that's another series we should talk about, the Mario and Luigi series. Those games are fun as well, and I think they are really underrated. I think that and Paper Mario are both underrated games, and I think it's time they got a little attention. I hope this crossover is what gives them the attention they need, because the main series games are the main series games. We've known that for decades now. But these smaller games, those are the ones that we should really pay attention to, because those could throw the biggest curveballs. So, yeah. Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario, 2 really underrated games. I really love them. The next games we have to talk about are the Mario Party games. Now, this could really span off into hundreds and hundreds of conversations about which ones were good, which ones were bad. For me, the way I put it is, the first 3 are the original 3. I'll put it like that. The first 3 are the original 3. And then there was, okay, I'll say the first 5. And then there was 6 and 7. 7 I remember playing a lot as a kid. I really enjoyed it. 6, And then there was 8. 8 was in some ways disappointing. And I'm actually going to be honest, it was disappointing. It was completely disappointing. Everyone can agree with me, that was disappointing. Then there is 9. 9 is, well, 9. I can't really say anything else about it. It's just 9. We can't really argue whether or not it's good or not. And Mario Party 10? Well, hopefully that's the rejuvenation this franchise needs, and when Mario Party 11 comes out, hopefully we'll get back to the classics territory. Because I'm not saying all of them are bad. I'm saying you could tell by 8 that they were starting to run out of ideas, or that they were starting to rehash the ideas. And that's not bad sometimes, but, as long as you add something new to the table, in some cases they did, in other cases they didn't. So, but at the same time, you don't want to really lose Mario Party, because that's like a fun party event for when your friends come over, and you're all partying out, and someone notices you have a Wii, and you start playing Mario Party. So, the Mario Party games are great. 8 is the only one I question. Get ready for this, ladies and gentlemen. I love Captain Toad. I actually think this is a really smart game. This is a really great puzzle game. Really challenging. Really thought-provoking, I guess, to say the least. What I enjoy about this is, I'm going to be honest and say Toad is one of my favorite Mario characters. And he's my favorite because he's just so goddamn adorable. How could you, not like a face like that? How could you look at a face like this and say, oh yeah, I hate that character so very much? And there are some people that have that feeling. More importantly, Nathan Wisniewski from New Gaming, who especially hates this game. But, for me, this game is just fun. If I did a top 5 list, which, hint, hint, I might do eventually for the Wii U, this would probably end up in the top 5 at least. So, yeah, Captain Toad, this one I really do hope it gets a sequel, because I do think it was a very, very intrugative, that's not a word, but you get my point. It's a very fun, very smart puzzle game, really challenging. Mario Kart. Mario Kart, what can you say about it? It's probably one of the best franchises Nintendo has made in the last couple of years. And yeah, I have 8 in my hand right now, but Mario Kart in general is just fun, especially when you're playing with 4 players, because it could just break friendships, and it could just question everyone else's values. What I love about Mario Kart is just how colorful and how fun it can be. Especially with power-ups, especially with characters, especially with the tracks. It just knows what to put in, and it knows what to keep out. I hope there is possibility for Mario Kart 9, because if they made 8 the last game, just keep doing DLC, I would love that, but I would love to also see a Mario Kart 9 for the NX. Other than that, Mario Kart, I would put in the top 5 of my favorite Wii U games. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final Mario-type spin-off game. You know what I'm talking about, the miscellaneous Mario games. This game has a slew of Mario characters. This game also has characters from Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Xenoblade, Fire Emblem, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Street Fighter. You all know it. Say it with me. Smash. Smash Bros. Is definitely one of those games that everyone has to have. This is the most fun you could ever have with a Wii U. Hell, even with a Wii. With a GameCube, with any of the consoles from like the N64 onward, this had to be a must-have. What makes this game fun is the cooperative play, is the fighting, is the level design, is the characters, is the trophies, is everything. This is probably one of the best Wii U games out there, for the time being. And as we all know, there's Mario Maker. But still, this has got to be one of the best. And with the new DLC that just came out, which will include Cloud, yeah, I will be getting some gift cards to get the characters, and the new stages, and the new costumes, and everything. Sheesh. What else can I say? This game is great. The entire game series of this is great. This is just, overall, probably one of my favorite games for the Wii U. This one right here. Probably one of my favorite game series of all time. It's just up there. And folks, this ends Mario Month. I know there's still one more week left of November. But Thanksgiving is approaching, and then we gotta start on December. So, yeah, we ended a little early. Hey, would you have liked it better if we did this every freaking day? Hell no. I know I wouldn't have. With that said, I will see you next time when we will be discussing a certain YouTube personality and his supposed real web series. This is Tony Rasmussen, signing out. I will see you next time.